Welcome back to RFD Profit Watch. I'm DeLoss Jahnke. Talk about supply chain a lot. We certainly hear about the need for more truck drivers. We're joined by Madeline Crider at the 160 Driving Academy. Madeline, how are you?
I am good, thanks. How are you doing?
Pretty good. I know there's one in Peoria, but I also know there are more. So how many academies are there?
Yes, right now we have 135 locations all over the U.S., and we're growing that footprint pretty much on a weekly basis. So we should be up closer to 150 or 160 schools before the end of the year.
Wow. So we're talking about truck drivers. Are we talking about long form and short routes, or what are we talking about?
All of the above. So 160 was founded about 10 years ago. We're having our 10th anniversary this summer. And we were created or built as a CDL training institution. So our job is to just train people to become truck drivers. So they'll come to us with absolutely no experience, no background, and we'll put them through our 4-week program. It's 160 hours. That's how we got our name. They spend the first 40 hours in our classroom learning rules of the road, hours breakdowns, more kind of paperwork regulations. They'll test for their permit during that first week, get their learner's permit, just like we all got when we were 15 or 16. And then from there, they'll spend 3 weeks on our training yard, actually doing behind the wheel training, so maneuvers and getting out on the road. At the end of that, then they will go test, and we will help get them a job after they've graduated.
So not simulating, but actual driving. You're actually out there.
Yes, you are actually in a truck with 18 wheels on it.
I look at this 2 ways. 4 weeks, that's awesome. Ready to go, and surely I would like to think you're going to get hired in 4 weeks, given the demand that's out there. But I bet people might also ask the question: really, 4 weeks? Is that all you need? Is 4 weeks?
Yeah. So that's a good question. So we would say 4 weeks is not all you need, but it's enough to get you through the tests that you take at the local DMV. And any company that you go work for as a brand new driver is going to put you through their own training program. So they'll get more into specifics about their own equipment at the company, their processes, things like that. And it obviously varies, but they'll spend quite a few weeks with sort of like a mentor or trainer at their new company before they're totally free to go on their own.
That makes sense. There are a lot of jobs out there where they train you before they turn you loose. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So yeah, that's good.
Exactly.
You're certainly growing locations, which I assume means everything has been working well. But let me ask you this. If you're going to be able to do that much instruction, how much one-on-one, are there class sizes? How many people can you take? Yeah.
Great question. So in the classroom, we can have a little bit of larger class sizes because a lot of the classroom portion is done via a computer. So the instructors, live talking to the students, but all the students get laptops when they come in and can kind of take quizzes and everything online. So we've been able to leverage technology for that first week. But for the last 3 weeks, obviously they cannot be, 10 people can't be taught by one instructor. So when they're out in the yard for the last 3 weeks of class, we try to stick to about a 3-to-1 or 4-to-1 student to instructor ratio. So one instructor will be responsible for overseeing, 3 students and kind of rotating them in and out for drive time. A really important part of truck driver training is the observation, right? So even when they're not actively driving, they're still, sitting in the truck, observing the other student who's driving and listening to the instructor's feedback. But again, we do try to manage that 3-to-1 student to instructor ratio. And demand has been through the roof for us. So we've been hiring a lot of instructors, especially over the last 6 months, to keep up with that demand.
That's good. I remember taking forklift operator training and being more afraid of the forklift or being more afraid of the process than I was when I started. So I imagine, you got to be serious about driving a semis too. And absolutely. With that in mind, what's your success rate? What's your placement rate so far?
Yes, we have over a 90% graduation rate. There's always going to be a few people who don't make it through the program for whatever reason. Truck driving is hard. It's not easy to learn. That's why it takes 4 weeks. So some people, just decide it's not for them. It's not what they thought. But for the most part, all of our students are able to get through class, and we have about 70% of our students that actually pass the first time they go take the test. But if they're like me, it takes them more than one time. And so again, about 95% of our students pass the class, only about 5% drop rate. But we'll always, drop anyone who's being unsafe on the yard or not following instruction. We don't want to send anyone out there that we think could be a danger to the public.
I'm also terrible at filling out forms. I'm just terrible at it. And so I would think that would be as valuable as anything, is to have some of that red tape taken care of and to have some help doing so.
Yep, absolutely. So we'll work with the DMVs across the country, especially on that permitting part. They have to go in and take that written test. And then on the actual driving test as well, making sure that their paperwork is in, that there's a database that they all have to go into. They've got to have, medical forms, things like that. So our branch managers at each of our locations help the students with all of that. There's no paperwork issues you run into when they're ready to take their test.
Hopefully there's a sign-on bonus afterward, but there's got to be some sort of cost to doing this too that, up front might seem a little prohibitive. So how much does it take to go through 160?
Yeah, good question. So we have a few different options for students. We try to have people not pay for school, right? Because like you said, it can be a lot of money. So we've got a lot of students coming through on government sponsorship. So using funding from unemployment offices for on-the-job training. They'll sponsor students through school. We also work with different carriers, so different trucking companies nationwide and also on a local level to have them sponsor students so they don't have to, pay up front. We've got some loan programs as well. And then we do always have the cash pay option for students that want to pay that way through. But I would say the vast majority of our students, about 70% of our students, are coming through on some type of sponsorship or financial assistance.
So surely a high placement rate in the jobs, and hopefully quickly after those 160 hours are completed.
Those students that are coming through on sponsorship programs have jobs lined up, obviously, with those companies right away. But people who come through on government funding or cash pay or something else, we have another business called the 160 Truckers Network, and that is for kind of after schooling's over. So you've either been driving for a few years and are just looking for a new job, or you just graduated looking for your first role in the trucking industry. That's a big part of the business that we're starting to develop. It's also great for companies as well. They can post their jobs on there and have access to a database of tens of thousands of CDL holders. So it's great for the companies as well.
All right. Well, hey, thank you very much. I learned a lot, and we need help. So hope more people come in and get enrolled.
Awesome. Yes, absolutely.
Madeline Crider in the Chicagoland area, the 160 Driving Academy, and their career network has an app. You can search for jobs on your phone. This is RFD Profit Watch.